What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be two fathers got 78 kids by 46 different mothers and no child support. Before I get into the video, though, got to do YouTube stuff. The goal is 75,000 subscribers by August. It's a crazy goal. It's a big goal, but it's my goal. All right, the only way I'm going to get to my goal is if you give me the HBO special. Do you know what the HBO special is? That's the Help a Brother Out special. All right, so go on and help a brother out. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. I'm going to give y'all a second to do that. All right, now let's get to the video. Two fathers got 78 kids by 46 different mothers and no child support. Let's see what they got to say.
LaToya Shields says she had to sit down when she heard the news.
During the whole relationship, I only knew of 4 children.
When a prosecutor told her that the father of her child had 20 other children.
At that time, 3 years ago, it was my child was the 21st child.
She says after spending almost 8 years with LaToya Shields says she had to sit down when she heard the news.
During the whole relationship, I only knew of 4 children.
When a prosecutor told her that the father of her child had 20 other children.
At that time, 3 years ago, it was my child was the 21st child.
She says after spending almost 8 years with Terry Turnage.
I mean, that would be overwhelming for anybody.
She had no idea what he had been up to. Today, WREG tried to find out by going to Shelby County Juvenile Court. Turnage had filed a petition there to lower his child support payments for 15 different women. Turnage never showed up to the hearing, and Shields says Turnage hasn't really shown up in his daughter's life.
No, she calls him.
No shit.
It's a high.
You ain't shown up in her life.
Situation.
Shields says Turnage doesn't typically pay child support either, but when he has, the monthly checks have been $6 to $9. The money is likely split among all 15 mothers of his children. But Shields says that's not what bothers her the most. It's the impact on her daughter.
She has a turtle shell, so.
And that's the sad part, right? That's what we're all here for. If you want to be a sexually irresponsible adult, do whatever you want to do. The problem is, at the end of the day, the person that takes the majority of the pressure, the person that is going to be affected the most is going to be the child. That's the saddest part about all of this, right? And I do want to get into sexual responsibility a little bit, because society as a whole has done a pretty good job at holding men sexually accountable, okay? And what do I mean by this? How has society held men accountable for our sexuality? The Me Too movement. That's arguably too good at holding men sexually accountable, to the point where there are men that ain't do nothing and are getting prosecuted or getting their endorsements dropped, getting their lives ruined without even any proof, right? We have child support. So men are held responsible to some degree for what we do sexually. Regardless if y'all want to, men are held responsible to some degree for what we do sexually. Now let's look at women. Who holds women responsible for what they do sexually? When you mix what's going on now with the sexual liberation movement, this is what you get. What happens if a woman gets pregnant by 3 different guys and has 3 different children by 3 different guys? What's her consequence? Certainly not child support, where she gets child support and she gets government aid. That's her slap on the wrist. So you're almost incentivizing women to get pregnant by multiple men or to have multiple children, while men, on the other hand, are the ones that have to be held accountable sexually. And it shows up in the numbers, and I'm going to get to that. But first, I want to get into the future analogy. Too many times do we focus on the small minority of men that are going out and getting women pregnant. There is a small minority of men that are going out and getting multiple women pregnant. And I'm going to get into the numbers. Just give me a second. But let's take Future's case, for example. Future is one man that was irresponsible sexually. One man. Future has 7 different baby mothers. Okay? 7 different baby mothers. That means all 6 after the first one. All 6 women after the first one were all sexually irresponsible because they knew Future had a child that he wasn't taking care of, and they still allowed that man to get them pregnant, and they carried the baby to term, which is a choice. You choose to get pregnant in 2021, and you choose to carry a baby to term in 2021. So we point the finger at Future, but nobody who has ever stood up and said, but why would you let a man get you pregnant if you know he ain't taking care of his children? See, in Future's case, I get it a little bit more because he's rich. He has money. And for some women, that's their goal. Some women's plan in life is to go out and get pregnant by a rich guy. That's their game plan. Go out, get pregnant by a rich guy, and sit on my butt for the rest of my life and soak in child support. That's some women's game plan, right? So I get it a little bit more because he has some money. But this is happening in my backyard. I got a dude, there's a dude across the street. He's an opioid addict, right? He's doing the Xannies, all the stuff people talk. He's doing all of it, and he has 4 baby mothers. Like, what do you do? The man doesn't have a job. What do you do? How are you allowing a man to get you pregnant and carrying the baby to term? He ain't got a job, and he's a drug addict. It's because nobody is holding women sexually. No one's holding women accountable for what they do sexually. And it shows up in the numbers. 9% of men have children by 2 different mothers, by 2 different women. Only 9% of men have children by 2 different women. 9%. So when that whole myth, oh, men are just abandoning their children. No. That's why I always say it's a small minority of men getting women pregnant and walking away. All right, we're never going to have a utopia. We're never going to get to the point where every man wants to be a father, or every man is going to be responsible for his sexuality or what he does sexually. We're never going to have that. But society as a whole has done a pretty good job at holding men somewhat accountable for what we do sexually. On the other hand, you have women, and there's no punishment for this. 59%, and this is African American women, 59% of African American women who have 2 or more children have 2 baby fathers or more. 59% of African American women who have 2 or more children have 2 or more baby fathers. And trust me, it ain't just a black problem. Hispanics are right there at 40%, and white women are right there at around 30, 32. But it's gonna get worse, and it has been getting worse. Because no one's holding women accountable. And you got this sexual liberation movement that says just go out and have sex with anybody and there's no consequence. So you got children that are being brought up, which statistically speaking, without 2 parents in the household, are just at a disadvantage in life. You can't have a strong society that way. But everybody want to do what they want to do. Everybody want to do it. And just another point of this, just to prove more, even more so, that the small minority of men are going out and having... Out of that 9% of men who have children by multiple women, 38% of those men have 4 or more children. So when a man goes out, only 8% of men have more than 1 baby mother. I just want to clarify all this for all y'all. Only 8% of men have more than 1 baby mother. But in that 8%, 38% have 4 or more children. There's a small minority of men getting women pregnant and causing this problem. And I'll keep saying it. And until women are held accountable, it's going to continue to get worse. Let's continue the video. I'm sorry I went on that whole rant, but let's continue.
Regardless of all the money owed, Shields says it comes down to a daughter who just wants a relationship with her dad.
I mean, I really prefer it this way. And I prefer it this way because if I can't...
Action News 5 investigator Janice Broach is live with what she's uncovered. Janice?
Well, we started out with one dad with 23 children and found another one with 25 children. They live in Memphis, and one of them has a date here at juvenile court.
Well, I haven't seen a case with that many children before.
Attorney Warren Campbell is talking about the case of Terry Tyrone Turnage Sr., 23 children with 17 women, a case to modify child support set for juvenile court next month that will take up the entire docket for the day, except for one other case.
He don't live here.
After days of searching, we were never able to find this Turnage, the one with 23 children, seen here in a mugshot from an arrest years ago. But we did find something else. We found another Memphis man with 25 children with 18 women, and we wanted to see if he had any advice for Mr. Turnage.
I'm constantly receiving phone calls from people that know this man, and they are trying to get in contact with him.
They're trying to contact Richard M. Colbert, not this man, Richard A. Colbert, who says he has gotten calls from mothers and children wanting child support Richard M. Colbert owed, the man with 25 children.
Pay your child support and you won't be in court.
We found Richard M. Colbert, who didn't want to look at our camera, the man with 25 children. He does not have any cases in juvenile court because he says all 25 of his children are adults. He says in the past he did have to go to court. I asked him if he planned to have 25 children.
You never start counting how many kids you expect to have.
But attorney Warren Campbell says if the person ordered to pay child support doesn't pay, the state ends up paying, and there's no legal way to stop people from having children. Richard M. Colbert feels lucky.
Everybody's not, not able to have kids, I guess.
Now, we contacted the Department of Human Services, the agency familiar with Terry Turnage's case, the man with 23 children. They have not yet gotten back with us about information on that case. Live at Juvenile Court, Janice Broach, Action News 5.
That's the end of the video. Just my final thoughts on the video. This is what happens when you have sexual liberation and women don't have to pay attention to who they're having sex with and who's getting them pregnant. This is what happens. There used to be a time where women had to look at a guy and say, do I really want this guy to be the father of my children? And they had a vetting process. You look at a man and say, oh, this is a nice car, but you live in the projects. Why is his car worth more than his house? That's a red flag. Oh, you have Jordans on, you have $400 pair of shoes, $500 pair of shoes in some cases, and you have no car. That's a red flag. How am I going to operate as a pregnant woman if we don't have access to a vehicle if need be? These are things that mattered, right? But now when you have sexual liberation and women don't have to care. And this is why I don't really preach the whole men go out and have sex with whoever you want thing. This is why I preach to men, because I feel like that would be making men a part of the problem. I did a video on Lana Rhoades maybe about a week ago now. And in that video, Lana said she hates that in the porn industry, there's so much violent porn. She hates that people watch it. But she was benefiting, making millions of dollars, I believe around $11 million total from that industry. So she was a part of the problem. And yet she complains about it. You can't do that. So for me personally, I feel like if I tell men to go out there and just do stuff irresponsibly and try to teach men to pick up chicks and this and this and that without getting their own stuff in order first, I'm being a part of the problem. I can't tell people that this is a problem if I'm telling men to go out and just have casual sex. I can't do that. It doesn't make sense. So I try to tell men to take care of themselves first. Be put in a position so that your dating pool is bigger, so you get to choose the women you want. You ain't just subject to the women that I'm presenting in the videos because you have more options. But that takes you working on yourself first. So I want men to be a part of the solution. Get a bag or be financially responsible, because you ain't got to be rich to become rich. A lot of people who get these big checks and don't know how to manage the money, they go broke. The literacy, the financial literacy is the most important part. Understanding what to do with the money. It's okay to work a job and make $50K and put a little bit away, put a little bit away, put a little bit away. And then you understand the game. Your dating pool gets bigger as your account gets bigger. So you get to do more. You got more wiggle room. We ain't got to sit on here and talk about certain women. And that's what I ultimately want. I want men to be more part of the solution than a part of the problem. I think we've done a pretty good job. I think society holds us pretty accountable for the things we do. We just have to continue to get better individually, because nobody's doing anything about the women. So you're just going to have to go out and find or have access to a better pool of women. It's probably the best bet for most men. Till next time.